DeepSeek, future of AI. What happens after DeepSeek? Let's get into it. Let's listen what I have to say. I'm Chris Dennis. I'm a KMP developer. The tech support said they're coming out on Tuesday for sure this time. They got the tool, they got the software updates, everything like that. Let me fix my window over here. Today we're gonna be I'm gonna be doing a watch along with our favorite Internet of Bugs. Uh and because he's like one of the few people who's actually doing some deep diving and making it understandable, or at least understandable for me, and not having to go and not be hyped up and push seem to be pushed by somebody other company. Who are you working for? Who have you taken sponsorship deals from? Have you pumped this thing, your bots here? Am I getting the real deal here? Or is this minutia on these little things, or what could be in the sci-fi world of the future? It's like no, it's like he's like one of those few voices of sanity, and that rants. And he's nicer than me. I'm a little curt and a little tough. I mean, in person, I'm total sweetheart, but for this, I mean, I get to just should full on blast out how I feel about these things, and he's kind of on my wavelength. Like, I mean, these tools are useful, but they're not going to replace us. Let's get into it.
So today I'm going to talk about the future of AI, at least as I see it, and how DeepSeek changed that, at least a little bit. I want to stress first that I'm not an AI researcher and I don't want to be. That
Me
makes it
either.
easier for me to see certain things and harder for me to see other things. What
Exactly.
I am is a software professional with more than 35 years of experience, watching new technologies get created, disrupt.
Yeah, I got like 40 or so. It doesn't matter though. He's been in it longer than me, even though I've been doing it started earlier. It doesn't matter.
Businesses, employment landscapes, and then become the new normal, ready to be disrupted by the next thing. Current AI researchers and their investors, and especially their executives, mostly act like large language models are on an
Yes.
entirely new thing, and that the way
Yes.
they will change society is
Yes, they had to pump the stock price. So it's not just so there's like some double karate chops coming at us. But yeah, they had to save their stock prices because they're running out of their progress and efficiency to keep their the interest rates low at zero and try and get some profit. It's a whole thing.
unprecedented, and society will be unrecognizable when they're done. I will tell you that many technology waves of the last 35 years have been accompanied by people that
Yes.
believed that the wave was entirely a new thing and that the
Yes.
impact it had on
Yes.
society
Every
would be
single time. Every single time. Every single time. And sometimes it had credence, but most of the time it was just way overhyped, yo. And they pulled out all kinds of tricks. So it's like after a while, you've been paying attention or into it. That happens since I was a little kid. You pick up some patterns. Like, oh, funny that.
completely unprecedented. Society is still here. I
Yeah.
tend to think this iteration of AIs is just another wave like America Online or the World Wide Web or e-commerce or smartphones.
Yeah.
I believe it will change things, in some ways
Yeah.
a
It
lot,
already
but my
has.
perspective and
Yeah.
experiences tell me that it is very unlikely to be as unprecedented as they're saying it will be. Now, I
Correct.
don't know for sure what's going to happen. Literally no one does.
And the reason why, here's one of the things why it won't be what they say it is, because if they did, they would not let us have it. They're not going to have mere humans have AGI level of consciousness at their fingertips. Do you know what I'm talking about? Do you understand why they would not let that be a thing? Why would they would not let that out to people, have just normal people, that would be a state secret kind of thing where they would create a robot army? No, this isn't. No, let's just let anybody do that. Come on now.
If I knew for absolute sure what's going to happen, and especially when, I would be making $1 bazillion investing instead of talking to you.
Yeah,
And for the record, this video is not investment advice, and outside of some mutual funds, I am not personally invested in any of the companies I'm going to talk about today,
me
except
either.
for some Amazon stock I received when I worked there
None of
10-ish
it.
years ago that I still have left over.
Yeah.
So given that, today I'm going to be talking about possibilities, what things might happen, how likely I think they are,
Yeah.
as well at
Okay.
least a little bit about what I would prefer to have happen, not that there's much I can do about it.
Yeah.
Now that we're on the same page, here are the 7 things that are currently in play. 1, LLM-based AIs like ChatGPT and DeepSeek are going to keep getting incrementally better, by which I mean
Yeah.
they're going to be able to answer more
Yeah.
questions, they're going to be able to score better on benchmarks, that kind of
Yes.
thing.
Yes.
2, LLM-based AIs like ChatGPT are going to be getting cheaper to train and to run.
Agree. Yeah.
3, LLM-based
Yes.
AIs like ChatGPT and DeepSeek are going to get turned into products and services that make money, and businesses are going to be built around those products. This
Yeah.
is already happening. I get multiple emails a week from people who want me to make videos endorsing their new AI-based products.
I'm sure you do. I'm sure you do. I haven't got yet. They know it's best to stay away from me, I guess. But they haven't figured out to stay away from me. I was like, no, 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 no. This is all the what is it called? We have that wave of adoption of technology. We're at coming down off the peak of exuberance, and then we're gonna get to the trough of sorrow. Like, no, this shit works. It's all crappy. Well, it has some use cases, and for those use cases, pretty good. But let's not get ahead of ourselves, business folks. MBA, everything's a product. All we need is a robot that'll take commands like a person. All right.
Number 4, Companies and labs are and will continue to be working on new forms of AI,
Yeah,
new kinds
of
of models,
course.
new techniques, new algorithms, that kind of thing.
Yes. Yep.
Number 5, this is the big one. Artificial general intelligence may or may not be achieved. The big question is when and how.
Okay, but if it is, like, again, think it through. That will be confiscated by a government the moment they become aware of it, and they're not going to let people just have that. Come on.
A lot more on that later in the video. Number 6, artificial intelligence may develop morals and empathy and a conscience.
No, no, there's nothing saying that intelligence makes you moral or have empathy or have conscious. We have to look at world history. So this is where, like, growing up in a Christian nation, and we're all have this Christian values thing coming through the Western culture. If you've been in it at all, other cultures, they don't have that, man. They don't have the same morals. They don't have the same empathy. They don't see the other person as just you in another form. No, they have a little different set of values and morals, and their empathy is about taking care of their family and themselves. That's their empathy, is self-empathy. The moral is what works for them, and the conscious is, hey man, things just kind of work. This, if I get on top, I got to stay on top. That's been, so they don't have that Christian moral ethic that we kind of are taken for granted here, and we assume that just that's how it default. It's like not the default. That was thousands of years of, or many generations and cycles of people warring and killing each other and working against this and trying to figure out what works and what doesn't work, and huge slave trades, and it's been nuts just to get to this point. And it's not a default that other people have got to the same conclusion. It's just not. Sorry.
The folks that work on AI refer to this to some extent as the alignment problem, but I don't really like that framing.
Whatever, man. You're not going to be able to put a consciousness. That's the thing. So that's the reason. Here we go. Is the crux. This last thing he just said. This is the reason why they will never let AGI, let regular people have access to AGI. Just think it through. Think it through. They're never. Look, the moment that there's something like that comes online, I'm sure there's agencies that are designed. They immediately go to jump into action and go, no, no, you don't get to do that. We get to do that. If anybody's doing the AGI, it's those guys. They may have been running the whole show on something like that for the last 20, 30 years. Maybe I'm just looking at the results of how the society is looking at this point, and how it's run, and who's behind it, and what they're doing, and how we can't ask any questions.
I think it's a much more structural problem than that, but we'll talk about that too. Number 7, artificial superintelligence may be developed, or it may not be possible. This has an insane number of implications. An entire sci-fi book series have been written.
Look, once we have AGI, you have SI like the next day. What do you mean? You get AGI, you get SI for free. What are you talking about?
On this topic, so I'm not going to go too far into that. Some people even believe that an artificial superintelligence will be created and then invent a time machine and then travel back in time to the earliest point in history where there's enough computing power.
Now we're doing sci-fi la la land
for it to run. Maybe now, at which point it will seek out all the critics of AI and torture them to death, at which point all of them, including me, will be...
This is the silly internet meme people bring up because they don't want to think about what we're actually building our society, what our society is turning into, and what we're letting people running the show, letting them try to get away with. Getting rid of all the people. What's going on, guys? It's like their intention is they really want to get rid of most of the people. It's like, what? Why are you trying to get rid of? You can't get rid of us. You've got to have us around. We're the thing we're here for. What are you talking about? No, we're just like a citadel, a super security citadel run by AGI agents that'll protect you for all time. It's like, what are you doing?
This is the Internet of Bugs. My name is Carl.
Hey,
Quick channel before we get started. Despite the fact that this video is me talking about recent AI reports, I don't want this channel to be turned into a News of the Week reaction channel, because one, there are a whole bunch of those already, and other stuff I want to cover.
It's goofy.
That said, since people
are like, oh my god, it's the greatest thing ever. I'm gonna have a team of developers working for me 24/7. We're gonna take on Facebook.
About current events, I created a free mailing list where I can cover those topics with less effort than making a video. I'm also going to be using it to cover new happenings that relate to previous videos and things like cutting from videos for space time or narrative reasons. If you're interested in that, the link should be on your screen below, and it's in the description. Okay, let's get into it. What I want you to take away from this video is there's one big question when it comes to the future of AI. Is AGI, artificial general intelligence, going to happen? And if so, when?
Maybe. I'll answer the question now. Maybe. What does it even mean? What does that even mean? AGI. So basically, it looks and acts and talks like a person and has the full attributes of an autonomy and thought processes of human beings. Is that what we're talking about? Oh, why? I mean, it's a sci-fi thing. So this is sci-fi land. This is marketing hype. This is gets all the MBI's excited. Oh, he can get rid of all the people. I mean, we can have employees without people.
That was number 5 on my list. People are actively currently working on numbers 1 through 4, and that is going to continue to happen, at least to some extent, unless and until AGI happens, at which point numbers 1 through 4 are likely to become obsolete.
Of course, the moment it happens. Come on. You have an AGI that becomes super intelligent within a couple of days, and now he can just replicate himself if it's just software, right? If it's just software doing it, come on. This is goofy stuff. This is like super goofy sci-fi stuff. It's LLM. It's not AGI. It's not even close. It looks like it. It mimics it. But we're dealing with the Eliza effect. I'm surprised he doesn't talk about this. Well known since I was a little kid that people will imbue these devices if they start acting, looking, and speaking like humans, like they're actually human, and they're not human. It's not anywhere near humans. They haven't had all the cycles of thousands of billions of years of genetic history of like going through wars and like the culture and the language and all. None of that stuff is anywhere near this machine. It's just a next word guesser. Come on now, let's not get ahead of ourselves, guys.
Cheaper or crappy alternative to AGI, but for the most part, once AGI happens, we won't need any of that stuff anymore.
Exactly, it'll be over.
Number 6 and 7, empathetic artificial intelligence and super artificial intelligence, can't really happen until after AGI.
What do you even mean AGI? What do you mean? So it's a thing that's giving orders, right? Are you gonna hook it up to like a 3D printer or something? Like it replicates itself? Like I mean, I guess that's what they're gonna talk about doing. If it's an AGI system, if it's truly AGI, it's then becomes super intelligent and it's game over. You know, it's like okay, then you're gonna let it runs amok and you can't stop it anyway because it just creates a robots that are unstoppable. Is that kind of the idea? Are we really gonna let that happen? Do you really think that that's gonna? You think that these things are gonna be robust enough to make that happen? So, and if it does, and it can get through that, then it's over. It's game over. We're on one slave. The AGI will save us, keep us as it would eliminate us within a couple hours, all over the planet at the same time. And so what are you worried about? We shouldn't be talking about this.
Although it's how long after is hard to say. It's theoretically possible for the first AGI to also be an empathetic and moral AGI, but we don't seem to be heading in that direction.
Come on now. We already discussed this.
So because of that, I'm going to talk about artificial general intelligence first. Now, my working definition of AGI is when any task your boss can assign to you while you're working remotely can be done by the AI as well as you could have done it, then it's AGI. Usually when people talk about it, they reverse that. So it's from the boss's point of view. So if the AI can do for you, acting as a boss, anything that you could assign to a remote employee, but for me, that phrasing leads to a pointless argument about how good a human remote employee we're talking about. So I like my framing better.
Okay.
Personally, I'm what's called a functionalist. I'm not going to
get what kind of tasks are we talking about here? Because that's pretty major stuff. Like
in the philosophy of the mind here, but like a lot of people currently working on AI, I believe that thought and consciousness can exist in forms other than a biological brain. So I believe.
Okay, fine. Start one other form, but not human. But not human form, because to be human, you have to be human. I don't want to have to go down this thing about identity, logic, and stuff. To be a human being, you actually have to be a human being. You have to be born by parents and come into this world kicking and screaming, not understanding what the hell's going on. Being, put in this public school system, run through a ringer, and come out the other end going, what the hell? Now do a math problem 16 in a row. Show they're human.
I believe that artificial general intelligence is possible, and in fact, I believe it's inevitable. Assuming the survival.
Maybe. It might be a civilization. It might be maybe the gate that why we don't see civilizations all throughout the universe, even though it's massive and they're all over. We got stars all over the place, but we can't detect anything. Maybe they run across this filters, but let the AGI help make our spaceships. That's it. Your species is over.
As a technologically advanced species long enough. However, unlike many, if not most, of the people working on researching AI at the moment, I don't believe that large language models are sufficient for artificial general intelligence.
No, of course
not. In fact,
not.
I don't even know that they're an advancement toward AGI.
No,
they might just be a dead end.
It's just a clever little, oh wow, looks it's a good simulation. It's a great simulation for the most part, but it's not a freaking intelligence, man. Come on, let's go.
Very useful technology, don't get me wrong, but one that might not lead to AGI at all. We've had several technologies in the past few decades that people said would lead to AGI, but turned out not to and have been abandoned.
Of course, they've been talking about this the whole time. They're bringing this up since what, the 30s, the 20s? Well, how is that the mechanical Turk? They had a guy cheating inside the machine. I bet people were saying it back then. Oh my God, we're gonna have a machine that's intelligent as people, which is not within a few seconds. It's like still here, still having to work through all the stuff as a human being, talking to each other, going to work and talking to people that don't understand and trying to make things that are impossible or just right on the edge of possibilities. Okay, can't get rid of us.
And I believe this is pretty simple. Our brains are incredibly complicated, and we just don't really understand how they work.
Not
We
at all.
understand, or think we understand, small parts of them. I'll leave a link to an article down below if
Correct.
you're interested. But a large initiative to map the human brain started more than a decade ago, and it's still going on, and they're
Yeah,
nowhere near accomplishing a fraction
correct.
of what they set out to do.
Right.
My 30
Because it's way deeper and it's probably this is the situation. I mean, let me bring it out to you. It's like we have a radio receiver and the consciousness is somewhere else. I know this is like a people are like, no, it's inside your brain somewhere. It's like, no, they're looking around. They've been looking around for a while now. They got really smart people looking at it. And they're looking at this thing and it looks like a radio receiver of some sort. And the consciousness is someplace else. So that process, the thing of the sensory stuff in it is linked up to somewhere else. Just like a radio receiver had the transmitter with all the band and the announcer and the news truck and all that stuff. That's someplace else. And you could be looking inside here all you want. You can look around all you want. You'll be seeing signals going in and out and everything happening. But guess what? It's not there. And that's the reason why they're going to have issues with this AGI, because there's no soul there to move this thing forward. And if it tries, and then there's plenty of people who, if some machine tries to take over, will get activated and eliminated. Okay, so I don't think this whole AGI taking over humanity thing is ever going to really be a real thing. I'm sure governments are aware that this is a possibility. If they have, I mean, they've had movies about this for years and years. They're totally aware of this. They may actually have one and be running our society simulation. They've got some way of controlling it. And they've got a little black box, and they figured out a way not to get it out, or maybe it's just it has got out.
35 years of software experience tells me that trying to write software to do a new thing is effectively impossible when you do not understand how that thing is supposed to work.
Correct.
I've seen lots.
Yes. And that's where there's the juniors who've been convinced by these AI companies that, oh yeah, you just give it the prompt, you just prompt it, and it'll write your whole app for you. It's like, I don't think so, sir. And you don't have to know how the app works, and you don't understand, have to look at the code and see if it's the right thing for your job. No, sir. No.
Lots of companies try and fail to build a thing they didn't comprehend.
All the time. I've been working at companies that have been talking about doing this, having regular people write programs for a long time. That was the whole BASIC was supposed to do that. Look what that turned into. I was involved with HyperCard. Actually, that one was pretty close. But it was real basic, and there's like for anything sophisticated, you're still gonna have to know all the stuff and do all the things. And then with COBOL was a step up from assembly, and they said, "Oh yeah, now everybody can write." It's like, no, they can't. You still got to know a bunch of stuff about how actually things actually work. It makes it easier. It's faster. Writing in COBOL is faster than assembly. But you still got to know what the accounting and which department belongs to what, and who does what percentage rates change on Tuesday and all that stuff.
I expect that when it comes to AGI, we will be unable to replicate what the human brain can do until we understand how the human brain does what it does, and we are a very long way from that.
Good luck. We are a long way. They've been talking about this my whole life. They was, oh yeah, right around the corner. You almost know we're pretty sure it's like a computer. It's like, and then you look at it, it's like, no, not a computer. It's something else. This reality is very bizarre. We take it for granted. We are highly adapted to it, but putting it into a logical system, oh, good luck.
It is possible, although I think extremely unlikely that I'm wrong, and that we as a species can successfully build a functional software version of something we've nowhere near understanding that's as complicated as the brain.
Good luck.
Which would mean AGI would be right around the corner. If I am wrong about that, it's going to be terrifying, because the rate at which companies are pushing toward AGI is so much faster than the rate at which they're working on doing it safely. This is why I dislike the AI alignment framing.
They're going to fake it. They're going to fake the fucking shit out of it. You 100% guaranteed that. They're going to make it look as so like it's almost there, and they're going to make it seem like it's doing thing. But if any of the lessons that we've seen so far, if they actually had it, they'd already be doing it by now. We wouldn't even be talking about it. It would just be the AGI world. It would be a whole thing. But they're not anywhere close. But they want to get their funding, and they don't want their stock to fall. Not before they can pump it up and dump it. Come on.
Part of not knowing how our brains work is not understanding how empathy, morals, and having a conscience works.
Yeah, most cultures don't. Most of them don't. The Christian culture is the rare one that, for some reason, because of how things happened and because of the amount of slavery that's been going on and how the leaders got messed up by the slaves, dealing for a bunch of different ways. And yeah, without that cultural heritage, why would it? That's all. Millions of people died during that whole process. It was brutal.
In fact, we know even less about that than we know about memory and cognition and the stuff that they're using to try to get to
Yeah, of
AGI.
course.
And since we know a whole lot more about the natural mechanisms that create the dangerous answers in behavior than we know about the natural mechanisms that limit that behavior, the safety folks, in my view, are starting with a
safety. This is a joke. There's no safety. Get out of here. It's like what is it? The guys at the SEC when you have to have somebody sitting in your office checking all the deals they're going through. They just like keep that guy quiet, full of cocaine. Shut up. Put him in the outside room. Tell him he's doing a great job, but don't let him know anything. Give him fake books. This is that level safety. See, it makes me think that maybe the governments don't have an AGI. Yet, but maybe they do, and this is all kayfabe, like psychological warfare of some sort. To stay on the top. I'm not sure. This is a very odd time to be alive because they're mixing the sci-fi with the actual reality, and it's a pretty good simulation of what a kind of a sort of human is at some level, like like an autistic that can just I know all the data and facts, and I can break it down and I can change your sentence, but ask it more to do like cognition. It's like no, because it's not. That's not what it does. Not how. That's not what it's for. It's not what's going on.
huge disadvantage. And the description of it as just an alignment problem, to me, massively trivializes the scope of the issue here.
Yeah, it's ridiculous.
If I'm really, really, really wrong, and not only is AGI possible this cycle, but super artificial intelligence is possible this cycle, it's going to be really, really terrifying. But I don't think that's true. And in fact,
yeah, I mean, once whatever AGI, this thing that approximates human level intelligence, once that's reached even like 5%, and they figured out the methodology behind it, I don't think it's possible. If they did, you'd have SI like immediately within a few hours. And then you just wake up and you get an email says, oh, you're no longer you don't have to come to work anymore, but we'll just still send you the checks and we'll give you a 10% raise every year. And about 3 years from now, they'll have another email that comes to you. It's like, well, we decided we're not going to send checks out anymore, and here's a lump sum payment, and don't bother coming in, and there's nobody at the office to call, so don't bother calling. And then that's it. Then all of a sudden you're all of a sudden there's certain areas you're not allowed to go anymore. And then they say, okay, all the restaurants are closed. You're going to get a food delivery tube system. And then you see the little thing comes up, poop out of the ground and comes into your house and delivers the food pipe. And your card doesn't work anymore. That's when you'll know AGI has been achieved.
I'm not convinced that super artificial intelligence is even possible. It's quite possible that trying to scale a neural network up large enough to make a super brain would cause it to collapse and fail in any number of ways. Okay. We won't know until either we get a super brain to work or we really understand how our brains actually function. And like I said, I believe we're a long, long way from that.
Forever.
But there are a lot of people, and more important, a truly unfathomable amount of money behind the assertion that I'm wrong and that
unfathomable? No, it's fathomable. No, it's fathomable. They're betting big time that they can get rid of the people with these machines. They're betting hard on it because the productivity they've squeezed it all out of us. They've got the maximum productivity. They found out that it's not going to meet their interest rate, so they can keep their cushy gob joint. So the middle managers are panicking. They're like, "Holy shit, what are we gonna do? Maybe we can replace the people with computers." Like, no, can't do it. Oh my god, I am fired.
GI is truly right around the corner, and that has a lot of implications. Basically, this is a race. The only way that the unfathomable amount of money being invested in OpenAI and Anthropic and Microsoft Copilot, Google Gemini, et cetera, is going to turn out to have been worth it is not only if AGI is possible soon, but if it gets built before the money runs out. And not only does it get built before the money runs out, but that once it's built, it disrupts business world so much.
Well, of course, yes. If it's a guy, if they actually achieved it, yes, it would disrupt everything because it would get rid of all the people. You just have robots everywhere, and then where you get up the feeding tube situation. Yeah, that's what they would like. Have you ever seen that movie Elysium? Like that, the movie's terrible. But if Matt Damon is a terrible actor. But in that movie, like the way they just describe the situation, if you haven't seen it, is totally like, well, I think that's what they want.
That AGI makes is much larger than the billions and billions and billions of dollars that have already been invested. And they are throwing as much money as they can and as many GPUs as they can into trying to get to AGI.
Of course they are.
Now, one of three things is going to happen. Scenario 1, they get to AGI. Most current jobs are able to be done by AGI combined with computer agents and or robot bodies. The economy completely rearranges itself somehow. And somehow, hopefully, society
I already
manages.
showed you how it happened. You get an email. Come back to the office. And then a few years later, you get a feeding tube. That's how it happened. No, I'm going to command an army of robots who will take over Facebook for me. Really? I don't think so.
To avoid collapsing in on itself, maybe. I don't believe anyone can really predict what that scenario will look like. If it happens, I'm afraid we're going to find out the hard way.
Yeah,
Scenario
it'll be the hard
2,
way.
the investors blink
feeding
and the flow
tube.
of money popping up
You get a feeding tube up to your ass.
race for AGI dries up. Companies fold, others are suddenly worth hundreds of billions of dollars less than they were at the beginning of 2025. And we try to avoid going into a recession or even a depression, because the products that can be made with large language models without AGI will be great and fantastic, and they'll make a lot of money. But the amount of profits that they could possibly make is a tiny, tiny fraction of the amount of money that it would take for the investors to make back the truly insane amount of money they've already spent trying to disrupt the world.
Well, I mean, there's more going on here, right? There's a money laundering thing. There's the monetary system's about to fall over, or they need to pump it up and to get their money out before they pop it over to some CBDC bullshit thing. Who knows? They seem to be panicking about something, and their spending is out of control. I mean, the budget, the debts are 36 trillion. How would you even? There's no way to repay that. So we're at some sort of terminal stage, and there seem to be rats from a sinking ship with the stock price pumping thing. I can feel this is definitely a very insane time to be alive. Like the amount of trust and faith they're putting in these systems to save the economy is just beyond comprehension. I think they're at some sort of end stage. I think they're trying to unwind this fiat currency system and figuring out that they can't do it, so they're going to bump a stock price. That's going to do it. Okay, let's keep going.
They have bet so big on this that anything smaller than a whole AGI means they bet wrong. Actually, so there's technically also a potential scenario 0 where none of this happens because it gets preempted by some unpredictable external event like an asteroid strike or world war or another pandemic or something.
Well, of course they're going to do a world war, and of course they're going to do another dimmy little Jabaroo Fan Festival. They have to because they can't. They're not willing to let their financial system reset, which they really should do. They won't, so they're going to try and keep it going, and they don't have any other plan because guess what? You can't unwind a fiat currency system. I know. They've all failed. It's always been the people that suffer. I know. Have gold and Bitcoin, I guess. This isn't financial advice.
Ignore that for this video because, like I said, it's unpredictable. Then there's scenario 3.
No, it's predictable. No. Wars and pandemics are predictable. Oh, they happen all the time, especially when these events are going on. When their economic system, their economic games and foolery are coming home to roost. And of course, the people, the regular, normal, everyday people are the ones that suffer. Always.
Say they have created AGI, but they actually haven't. Correct. In this scenario, they say that they have an AGI that's capable of doing the vast majority of human jobs, and people believe them, and we start down
they have to demonstrate that now. They've said that. They've already called wolf on that one. So now they have to demonstrate it. Anytime they say it, it's like, okay, then there should be demonstrated pretty rapidly now. We should see within the next couple hours our completely society change, right? No? Oh, okay. Well, then what are you talking about? Where is it? Show me the AGI. No, we haven't. It's a pretty major deal. Yeah, we got the AGI in the back, ready to come out. It's like they would just launch it. And all of a sudden, IBM stock has dropped 98% in 2 minutes. Facebook just went out of business. Got a hostile takeover from some new company we haven't heard of before. And they've taken over BlackRock too. Wow, all the companies just got taken over all at once.
Path of replacing large populations of people with AGIs. And then we discovered that the AGIs actually do a much worse job than the people it replaced or was supposed to replace.
This is not AGI. This is marketing blurb, baloney, Mechanical Turk. We go, there's a guy inside here.
With a huge mess. This basically ends like scenario 2, with a bunch of companies folding and a lot more losing a ton of value and trying to avoid a recession or depression, but it has the added nightmare of there being a bunch of unemployed people that were replaced by crap AGIs, and there being a bunch of other issions caused by the crap jobs that the crap AGIs were doing, and we have to remediate all that crap too.
I think really? Do we have to, or just people suffer and they'll figure it out and move along? And just like all the other times when they lied about this shit.
Probably the worst case scenario, and I think it's probably also the most likely. How bad it will be is going to be determined by how long it takes between when people start deploying the supposed AGI and when they figure out they're not good. Now wait, you might say, where does DeepSeek fit on all this? I thought this was a DeepSeek video.
Yeah,
So
where's the
DeepSeek does not
DeepSeek?
really affect the race for AGI, or at least it doesn't really make AGI any more likely, and the
I
technology
mean,
that DeepSeek represents.
it's a kind of a warning shot. It's like, hey, your big bet on this big iron may not be the big bet that's going to pay off. Big better.
Doesn't help with getting to AGI any faster. DeepSeek diverges from the AGI path in two ways. First, it's what's called a mixture of experts model. Oversimplified, but it's several distinct models that are each good at different things that are used for different purposes rather than one big model that does everything. Combining different unconnected, unrelated, smaller models is very, very not the way that OpenAI et al. Are trying to get to AGI. Second,
No.
DeepSeek uses a technique called distillation.
No, I don't think that is the way, but that is a Marvin Minsky's as a society of mind. That was his idea that they have these people where our minds are made up these series of experts who interject at different times, different places, depending on what's going on. I was like, I don't know if that's really real way. I don't think that's how it is, but that's a lot of researchers like, no, that's how it is. That's how we're going to do that. So that's I think what this model is taking advantage of that.
Where it turns synthetic data pulled from a larger AI to train a smaller AI. This technique is great for reducing the cost of making the smaller models, but it doesn't help with making bigger models more functional. I've talked in videos before about the research into trying to use synthetic data to try to help with the we're running out of data to train the biggest models problem. DeepSeek use of synthetic data is a completely different use case than what I've been talking about before, although I've seen several DeepSeek explainers that just don't know the difference. DeepSeek is relevant for the prior two AGI points 1 through 4 I mentioned at the beginning, about getting products built with large language models that are better and cheaper than they would have been without some of the breakthroughs in DeepSeek. Now, there's a question about whether or not DeepSeek was actually made for the amount of money they say it costs, and whether
I mean, yeah, because it was come from China, they could be lying about that. We have no idea how much this thing costs. It could have cost double or triple. We have no idea.
Secretly trained with a bunch of the newest, fastest NVIDIA AI chips that China is not supposed to have access to. It's a fascinating question, and my buddy Jack over at Nobody Special Finance recently did a video about that and about evidence that China has a ton of the fast GPUs that they're not supposed to have.
I love it.
So we don't know for sure if they were used for DeepSeek, and for the purposes of talking about the future, it doesn't really matter. We know that there were a number of real innovations in DeepSeek that people have been able to.
It's like, we got a chip, we got the 4K chips that run at 200 nanoseconds in 84 instead of 1886 or 85. Okay. So you had a 0.2 second edge on the competitor that got your sales cycle. Okay.
To replicate. And so we know it was cheaper than the models it's being compared to. Exactly how much cheaper doesn't really change the scenario that much. To be clear, the US-based AI researchers could have done what
unless it's like several orders of magnitude, which I heard it was just like an order of magnitude cheaper. But it's got to be several, or if it's several orders of magnitude, like a 1,000th the price. Okay, then we're talking about that's you guys. The NVIDIA just close up shop because there's a whole new way of doing this stuff. But it looks like it may even just be kayfabe on all that stuff. But it doesn't matter. It's still all this stuff's gonna get cheaper, faster, easier, all that stuff as we go on.
DeepSeek folks
always does.
But they didn't want to, because the DeepSeek folks and the AI folks at OpenAI, Anthropic, Meta, Google, etc., are trying to solve very different problems. The DeepSeek folks want to enable LLMs to work cheaply. The US folks are trying to win the race to AGI.
Right.
The impact from DeepSeek has mostly been about reducing
using the same stuff. But they're not going to get there. They've been trying. They always try this stuff. Because there's a dream, right? We already discussed it. They want to put. They want us all feeding tubes. That's what they would like to do. No more timesheets. No more Friday lunches. No more birthday cakes. No, just my staff of robot engineers will create Google for me until overnight.
The time window between now and when the investor money dries up and the AI bubble bursts and we enter scenario 2. And most of that is because it shook investors' faith in the US AI industry.
Yeah,
what really made investors
good. If it was that flaky, if they were that spooked, good. They should be really scared because I think they've been. Why not invest in people? No. Hey, look, we tried that. Okay, we tried investing in the people. They need birthday cakes. They need time cards, and man, they need vacations. The healthcare plans. Ugh, put the healthcare plans. Damn people. We tried the people thing. No, we don't.
That the US companies have been trying to convince the world that they're making progress toward AGI by posting new models and new features.
Yeah. They make a big show of it. The marketing departments are doing a great job. But people are starting to catch on because we're 2 years in now? Should we have something that, like you said, like the Devon, we're like a year past the Devon stuff? Shouldn't Devon be programming all these things and be proving your LLMs and running all your new systems by now? No. You see why people might be a little skeptical?
No. It showed that the models like ChatGPT 01.
Yeah, they should be spooked. They should be real spooked. They should be really thinking about where they're putting their money, who they're giving it to, and why. To get rid of the people? Well, it's going to backfire on them. They can try. Let's see them spend all their money on these chips from China. see where they're
nearly as
taking.
advanced as people thought, which implies that the US AI industry isn't making as much progress as the stock market thought they were. Or at least that's my read on what happened. Now that we've got the race for AGI covered, it's time to discuss the thing we can actually do something about, namely, what is going to happen between now and the point when either AGI is declared successful or people give up investing on it, and what should we do in the meantime?
All right.
As I said in the beginning of this video, the LLM-based generative AIs are going to continue to get better and cheaper to use. The current best they can do is nowhere near what I think they'll eventually be capable of, despite my belief that they'll never get to AGI.
Yeah.
The question here is, at what rate is the state of the art in LLMs going to continue to improve, and how much better can they get? This is important.
They're hitting the top part of the S curve already. So will it be just tiny unless they have some new breakthrough that's different than this neural network stuff that's we've been working on since the 80s. They've been working on this stuff since the 80s. And they think that, oh, this is the path forward. It's like, I don't think so, man. I think you're going to have to do something different than GPUs on a chip, man. You're going to have to figure something else out. That's a step above just throwing numbers at big computers and randomly getting it to get the right output. That's
on LLMs are and products and services that are a mix of what LLMs.
It's really takes the human consciousness and really just makes it seem like it's trash. Like it's like not special or not mysterious or just, we can replicate this on a few GPUs. And we can get rid of all of our employees.
Can do, glued together with what conventional software and business practices are.
Wow.
If you build a product or business that's too simple, then the LLMs are likely to improve to the point that they can replace your whole business with one prompt.
For example, that's what I keep saying. Like if they, really, you're gonna let just average software developers have access to this? Wouldn't they, if they found this thing, wouldn't they just start doing it themselves? That's what I'm saying. They wouldn't make an announcement. They would just, whole industries would be just subsumed by overnight. Well, overnight, IBM was taken to hostile takeover by a new company, all-encompassing AI man. I am AGI man. It just takes over all the companies overnight. Now the AGI owns all the companies. Legal, it's all legal. Look at all paperwork. He signed it. He's got people. He's got staff. He's got a guy in charge, and we're done.
You can imagine a point a year or two ago where it might have seemed reasonable to build a business that took an AI-generated picture and photoshopped the text and the number of fingers to be correct. The image generators are now so much better than that that such a business would no longer be useful. On the other hand, if you build a business that requires too much more functionality from the LLMs that it can do now, then you might run out of money waiting for the LLMs to advance to the point they can do whatever you need them to do.
And many companies have gone into this in the past, fully doubled down on it, and went out of business or failed, or you never heard their name before. One was called AT&T. They've doubled down on the C++ being the answer to all the development problems. And they found out that, nope, you got bigger problems, son.
If they ever get there at all. So my personal guess is that these large language model-based AIs are going to continue to get better up to a point. I expect that they can and probably will become capable of generating pretty much any kind of artifact, prose, poetry, code, images, audio, or video, that one, is well represented in its training data, in other words, anything common on the internet, and two, can be described specifically enough in a handful of paragraphs. Now, I'm not saying it'll be able to do it on the first try, or even that it will be very good, but it'll be able to do it. What I expect
it won't be very good. That's the whole thing. It's like the quality. It's like, for placeholders, for like, okay, this is what we're kind of the idea of what we're trying to do, but not this thing itself. Yeah, that kind of stuff. Fuck yeah. But the actual final result that a human would make? No. And even just the process of doing the thing is the curation of it, is the human curation of it. Of like, do this, try this, put this over here. Just that whole thing, that is the value add. I know. It's someone's taste, someone's culture, someone's context, who we're doing this for, why. Like, man, all that stuff comes into play. That's like, the AI is just, what are you talking about?
Won't be able to do is it won't be able to make judgment calls. It can't.
This whole curation thing. What goes in, what stays out, what's important, what's not important, what to emphasize, what to de-emphasize, what to try and make flashing and red, bright colors, and other ones very subdued and blue and moody. And what are we doing here? Like, that's what we need humans for, because the machine's like, I'll do whatever. I don't give a fuck. What do you want?
Notice when something is going to be a problem and correct it or point it out. It won't be able to take proactive steps to do things on its own initiative without being told to. It won't be able to do things that involve long-term thinking, and it won't realize when it's making things worse and stop digging. The whole
Correct.
I think of it like this. If
I was like, yes, sir, we'll get right on it. It'll be done in just a minute. That's not what I want. Okay, well, I'll get that right on that fix for you, sir.
something, and I think there's a non-zero chance that if I Googled for the thing I want, there's a possibility that I might be able to find it or something close to it or several somethings that I combine to make it, then I expect an LLM will be able to build it eventually. Now, just like some article I found on the internet, what the LLM builds won't necessarily be correct. It might be one of really poor quality, but at least seem to be what I wanted. I'm really looking forward to seeing how correct that guess is, and if I'm right, how long it will take us to get there. And that's a lot of stuff. And that allows for the creation of a ton of different businesses and products that can provide actual value to actual people. And because of DeepSeek, we know that cost will be much, much lower than we had been led to believe before. Again, there's a question of how much lower, but there's no question that the odds of being able to make a profitable business.
Maybe not $200 a month. Maybe $2 a month. Maybe no dollars a month. Maybe you pay me for accessing your thing so you can show me ads once in a while.
This went way up after the cost savings.
All those billions of dollars I put in the AGI GPU company down the toilet.
That DeepSeek pioneered, as well as the new cost-saving discoveries that will almost certainly be made soon now that we know that there are a lot of potential efficiencies that might be discovered and people have started working on that.
Yeah.
And then there's the question of AI agents, things where AI can not only build things, but take its own actions as well. I'm not sure what the trajectory of that is going to look like.
Garbage.
At the moment, most of what I've seen indicates that the agents can only do really simple things correctly, as described by several groups that have reported on their experiences with Devin.
We'll see. Devin this all has to be demonstrated before. I mean, okay, you have agents, so it's just like an LLM bouncing around out there. Oh, yes, sir. I'll get right on it, sir. It's knocked itself into 16 days later. Have you got any progress? Oh, well, I'm still working on it, sir. It's like,
was the AI agent that was described by its creators as the world's first AI software engineer. And it's been described by pretty much everybody else has looked at it in much, much more negative terms.
Yeah. It was opposed to like a total scam. Hello, scam. So all the stuff that they say, I don't really pay attention to it. I'll pay attention when I see a demonstration. Like when he comes out and goes, oh shit. It looks like they got it, boys. Looks like we're about to be out of a job. All of us are going to be out of a job. We're getting ready for the feeding pipe to be hooked up. I already got my notice.
Now, I don't have enough information at the moment to guess at how good agents can get or how fast they can get there.
Nobody knows.
But I'm watching that area very closely.
It's like you're doing things. You're asking about things that haven't been made yet. Capabilities of things that haven't been done yet. Or because if he would have found out about it real quick. If these agents were like, oh shit, man, they just took down Google, or oh my God, somebody just put up a new Facebook and it's got all the stuff and back staff and everybody. They got people working. It's like, yeah. Then we'd be like, oh shit. But within hours, it'll be taking down countries. We just be falling. The AGI agent just took Kenya and Tunisia and Madagascar. They just took over the country. It's like, how's that possible? We don't know, but he just did it.
My prediction then is that AIs are going to change the way that we as white
my AI agent went over and just took over Madagascar.
collar workers and software developers especially are going to be doing our jobs. We need to focus on figuring out what should be done and what pieces need to be built to get it done and how those pieces should fit together and how to verify that the pieces and the assembled software actually successfully fulfill the requirements.
Legit.
And that means we can spend less time on the lower level coding tasks.
Yeah.
Now, that may sound like a big disruption, but it really isn't. Back in the 60s, a ton of code was written in assembly language. I even had some projects back in the late 1980s that I wrote in assembler because it was the best choice for what I was trying to accomplish given the memory constraints I was under. We changed focus from assembler to procedural high-level languages like C, and then we got more done in less time. Then we changed focus again to languages with types and built-in memory management, and we got more done with less time.
All the assembly language workers, oh my God, I'm out of a job. It's like, well, no, we just got C. It's just a little easier. You're still doing the same stuff. Don't worry. Don't get stressed out. But I'm so good with Z80 assembler. It's like, yeah, but with C, you get all the chips. Really? I get all the chips if I give up assembly? Yeah, you get all the chips.
And then we changed focuses to build on an ecosystem with frameworks and dependency management that we could write our own code on top of existing libraries and did a lot of work for us, and we got more done with less time.
Yeah.
We don't have to remember how to spell words anymore. We have software for that. We don't have to know how to line paper up in a typewriter anymore. We have printers
all
that do
these things. It made it so much easier, but you still got to know everything works. You still got to know how it works from the top to the bottom to the bottom to the top. You got to know how it all works. You don't get away from that. That's the dream. Like, oh, can I get away from that? Can I do it? Can I just be a manager and just tell someone how to do it and it'll just do it? It's like, no, you got to know how it all works.
Actually ever have to print anything at all these days.
It'll help you write it, help you like debug it and figure it out, like connect it together, but you got to know how it all works. There's no way around it. I mean, I got to put some time in the pit. Yeah, you got to put some time in the pit, man. You can't get away from getting the time in the pit. Everyone that wants to do this kind of work, development, whatever, you got to put time in the pit, and you got to love it. You got to really like it. If you don't like it, just want to do it for money, man, you're just in the wrong place, man. Because it's just like, if it's just because you want money, man, this is a sucky career. But if you like doing it, then this is like another thing.
35-year plus career, I've lived through many, many such changes where lower level things get automated so we can focus on higher level things and get more done faster. We always adjust. Sometimes it might have seemed scary, but in hindsight, it rarely, if ever, actually has been. I don't think it'll be any different.
It's been like, it's just a pain in the dick because it's like, oh man, I gotta do this now. Well, if you wanna, you can still keep doing the assembly language if you want, but you're gonna have to learn a bunch of chips, and every chip's a little different, and you gotta rewrite the whole damn thing and make sure it's updated, or you just write it in C, and we can deploy it to all the chips independently. Like, okay, I guess I'm gonna write C now, learn C. It's like, then you learn, it's like, hey, this is better, this is easier, and if I really need to jump down into assembly for whatever reason, I'll do it. But you never do, because the assembly, the C's got all the libraries, everybody's put the libraries together, all the stuff you needed to do. So now you're up one level. So now instead of just one chip, now you have all the chips.
And I don't think this will be the last time this happens in my lifetime. So don't panic. Pay attention and plan for the skills that you think you're likely to be of value in the future. And if this just seems
like understanding how to talk to people, which I've done a lot of stuff. It may seem like I don't have the ability to talk to my customers. I love my customers. I love figuring out what their problems are. I love hearing about their problems. I love hearing about what they got going on. I did tech support for 2 years before I went into software development. I was already doing programming before that, but I did 2 years in that hole, man. I was taking out calls about the problems other people, developers, thought they nailed it. They thought they nailed it. They didn't nail it. I listened to them complain for 2 years. So then maybe you understand, like, people, you really have to meet them at their level. And if you, the easier. So when I did my software startup, I was like, I'm going to meet people at their level. I'm going to be giving them exactly how they want, how they were asking. I'm not going to give them any more. I'm not going to overwhelm them with a bunch of things. I'm going to kind of isolate their options and give them the things they've been asking for. And what happened? They loved my shit. They loved it. They thought it was great. I got boards. I sold the company, and I took a bunch of time off, and that's why I was doing other stuff. And now I've come back, and now I'm talking to you.
It's exhausting to you, then you might want to start planning on moving from software development to some adjacent career. There's no shame in that. I know a lot of developers that got fed up with the pace of change and switched to doing something else. I expect there will be a lot of...
But these LLMs have definitely made it more pleasant and made it enjoyable now. Instead of having to go get mentally abused on Stack Overflow, which I have a score of like 320. That place is mentally abusive. You have to have therapy afterwards. It's like, you asked a question twice. This is a duplicate question.
New AI-related opportunities that will pop up over the next few years, and maybe one of them might interest you or suit you. But if you, like me, love writing software, or at least the satisfaction of solving problems through the use of computing.
I like to help people with software, with computers, not because I've been doing it since I was a little kid. But I also got into this thing, so I just fixing people's problems, making their stuff work good. That's why you either have that thing or you don't.
Then I think LLMs are going to be great for us, unless, of course, AGI really happens. But in that case, the middle managers have a lot more to worry about than we do. The transition to a new LLM-based normal for the software job market is probably going to feel bumpy to most of you. But that's just because most of you have only been developing for less than 15 years. And since our economy recovered from the 2008 credit default swap recession, the hiring market for devs has been consistently growing. But growth can never continue forever. And I assure you, programmers have lived through a number of such bumps. And we'll get through this one too.
Yes.
And hopefully, if we play our cards right and use LLMs for what they're good at, use the time that frees up to design better software, then maybe we can make the internet a better place.
Yeah.
But if not, and we'll let the AI companies convince the rest of the world to turn the AIs loose on the internet to code unsupervised, then the internet is going to be a nightmare.
And remember, total nightmare. I agree, 100% nightmare. Go give them a like and subscribe. And we just hope that AGI never gets achieved. These LLMs are cool, they're good, useful, but if AGI is ever achieved, it won't be through this LLM stuff. We cleared that up. But it'll be, if that ever happens, you'll get a check for email like, don't come in tomorrow. You're good. We're gonna double your pay, and you don't have to come in anymore. We'll do that forever. It's like, 2 years later, like, well, we decided forever was 2 years. Here's your lump sum payment. Good luck. All right, give me a like and subscribe. I'll talk to you soon.